I grew up in a small house on the outskirts of Ohio, where my mom Hannah always took pride in our family and our home. I was the only son, and I always tried my best to keep everyone happy. For 4 years, I had been secretly paying the mortgage on that house without telling anyone. But one evening, after a small argument at dinner, my mom looked me in the eyes and shouted, "You are ungrateful! Get out and never come back!" I did not yell, I did not explain. I just stood up, grabbed my car keys, and walked out the door. I had no idea that my decision to stay silent would change everything. Before I continue, let me know where you are watching from today. Drop a comment below, hit that like button, and subscribe if you want to hear how this story unfolds. Trust me, you will not want to miss what happened next. My family was never wealthy, but we always had enough to get by. My dad worked as a plumber for most of his life, waking up before dawn and coming home with aching joints and calloused hands. My mom Hannah worked part-time at a local grocery store, stocking shelves and helping customers 3 days a week. Then there was my younger sister Chloe, who had just turned 22 and recently graduated from college with a degree in marketing. Our house was a 2-story home built sometime in the 1970s. The paint on the exterior was fading, the roof needed repairs, and the hardwood floors creaked in certain spots. But to my parents, this house meant everything. They bought it when I was 10 years old, and I still remember the day we moved in. My dad carried my mom over the threshold like they were newlyweds, and she laughed so hard she cried. That house represented their entire life's work, their sacrifice, their American dream. Everything changed when I was 21. My dad had an accident at work. A pipe burst unexpectedly, and the force knocked him off a ladder. He fractured his hip and tore several ligaments in his knee. The doctors said he would need at least 6 months to recover, maybe longer. During that time, he could not work at all. The bills started piling up: medical expenses, physical therapy, everyday costs. My mom tried to pick up extra shifts, but it was not enough. One afternoon, I came home and found a letter from the bank on the kitchen table. It was a warning about late mortgage payments. The house my parents had worked so hard for was at risk. I had just graduated from college with a degree in software engineering. A company in Columbus offered me a position with a decent starting salary. Most people in my situation would have moved to the city, rented an apartment, and started their independent life. But I could not do that. Not when my family needed me. I told my parents I wanted to stay home for a while to save money. They did not question it. My dad seemed relieved to have me around, and my mom appreciated the extra help with household chores. What they did not know was that I had called the bank the week after I started my job. I set up automatic payments from my account to cover the mortgage every single month. $1,800 withdrawn like clockwork. I never told anyone. Not because I wanted recognition or praise. I did it because I knew my dad would feel ashamed if he found out his son was paying for the roof over his head. And my mom would worry herself sick thinking about the burden I was carrying. So I kept it to myself. Every month I watched that money leave my account, and I felt okay with it. I was helping my family. That was enough. On top of the mortgage, I contributed to the electricity and water bills whenever I could. I also gave my mom $300 every month as what she called rent money for letting me stay at home. She always took it with a satisfied nod, like she was teaching me responsibility. Little did she know I was already shouldering far more than she could imagine. 4 years passed like this. 4 years of working overtime, skipping vacations, and wearing the same clothes until they were threadbare. My friends bought new cars and took trips to Europe. I drove a 10-year-old sedan and spent my weekends helping my dad with yard work. But I never complained. This was my choice, and I believed in it. My relationship with my mom was complicated. Hannah was a strong woman, fierce and determined. She had grown up poor and clawed her way to stability through sheer willpower. I respected her for that. But she was also stubborn and quick to judge. She had opinions about everything and everyone, and she was never shy about sharing them. The thing that hurt the most was how she constantly compared me to other people's children. Every family gathering, every dinner conversation, she would find a way to bring up someone else's success. "Did you hear about Mrs. Patterson's son? He just bought a condo downtown, 24 years old and already a homeowner." Or, Linda's boy got promoted again. He is making 6 figures now. Each comment felt like a small cut, and over time those cuts added up. I never defended myself. I figured my actions spoke louder than words. I was paying for this house. I was keeping this family afloat. Someday they would understand. Someday they would see. But someday never came the way I expected. It was a Saturday evening in late September. The leaves outside were just starting to turn orange, and there was a crispness in the air that signaled autumn's arrival. My mom had cooked a big dinner to celebrate some good news. My sister Chloe had landed a job at a marketing firm in Cleveland. It was her first real position after months of searching, and the whole family was thrilled. We sat around the dining table passing dishes of roasted chicken, mashed potatoes, and green beans. My dad smiled more than he had in weeks, and my mom was practically glowing with pride. "I always knew you would do great things," my mom said to Chloe, reaching over to squeeze her hand. "My daughter, the career woman. I cannot wait to tell everyone at the store." Chloe blushed and thanked her. She talked about her new apartment in Cleveland, how she had already found a place near downtown with a view of the river. My mom immediately started planning a shopping trip to help her buy furniture and decorations. I listened quietly, genuinely happy for my sister. She deserved this opportunity. She had worked hard in school and never gave up, despite dozens of rejection emails. But somewhere deep inside, I felt a familiar sting. 4 years I had been living in this house, sacrificing my savings, my social life, my future. And not once had my mom looked at me the way she was looking at Chloe right now. Then my mom turned to me, and the warmth in her eyes cooled noticeably. "You know," she said, her tone shifting, "you could learn something from your sister. She is 22 and already moving out, starting her own life. You are 25 and still living at home. When are you going to grow up and become independent?" The words hit me like a punch to the stomach. I set down my fork and took a breath. "I am saving money, Mom," I said, keeping my voice calm. "That is why I have been staying here." She let out a short laugh that was anything but amused. "Saving money? You have been working for 4 years. Where has all that money gone? You must be spending it on who knows what, video games, going out with friends. I never see you saving anything." I could feel the heat rising in my chest, but I forced myself to stay composed. "Mom, I have my reasons. I am being responsible." "Responsible?" She shook her head dismissively. "Look at what Linda's son did last month. He bought his parents a brand new car. A brand new car. And here you are, giving me $300 a month and thinking you are some kind of hero." My dad shifted uncomfortably in his seat, but said nothing. Chloe stared at her plate. Her earlier joy completely evaporated. The tension in the room was suffocating. "Mom," I said slowly, "you do not know everything about my situation. There are things I have been doing that you are not aware of." That was the wrong thing to say. My mom's face turned red. She slammed her hand on the table, making the dishes rattle. "Things I am not aware of. Are you keeping secrets from me now? What kind of son hides things from his own mother?" "I am not hiding anything bad. I just did not want to worry you or make anyone feel uncomfortable. I was trying to help." "Help?" She stood up, her chair scraping loudly against the floor. "You call mooching off your parents for 4 years helping. You eat our food, use our electricity, take up space in this house, and you have the nerve to say you are helping." Something inside me cracked. After everything I had done, after every sacrifice I had made, this was how she saw me. A mooch, a burden, an ungrateful son. "Mom, please," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. "You do not understand." "No, you do not understand," she shouted, pointing her finger at me. "You are ungrateful, after everything we have done for you, raising you, feeding you, giving you a roof over your head. This is how you repay us, by being a lazy, entitled adult who cannot even take care of himself." "Hannah, calm down." My dad finally spoke, his voice weak and uncertain. But my mom was beyond reason now. Years of frustration and disappointment seemed to pour out of her all at once. "Get out!" she screamed. Get out of this house! If you think you are so grown up, so independent, then go prove it. Get out and never come back." The room fell completely silent. I could hear my own heartbeat pounding in my ears. My dad's mouth opened and closed, but no words came out. Chloe had tears streaming down her cheeks. I looked at my mom, really looked at her. Her face was twisted with anger, her chest heaving, her fists clenched at her sides. In that moment, I did not see the woman who used to sing me lullabies or bandage my scraped knees. I saw a stranger who had just told me I was worthless. For a split second, I wanted to tell her everything. I wanted to scream that I had been paying the mortgage for 4 years, that I had given up my dreams and my savings to keep this roof over her head, that every cent she thought I was wasting had actually gone to the bank to protect this house she loved so much. But I did not. Because in that moment I realized something. Even if I told her the truth, she would probably find a way to dismiss it. She would say I should have told her sooner. She would accuse me of holding it over her head. She would turn my sacrifice into another reason to criticize me. So I made a different choice. I stood up slowly. I walked to the counter and picked up my car keys and my wallet. My mom was still standing there waiting for me to apologize or argue back. I did neither. "Okay," I said, just that one word. No emotion, no anger, no explanation. Then I walked out the front door and did not look back. I drove for 2 hours straight, my hands gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white. The road blurred in front of me, partly from the darkness and partly from the tears I refused to let fall. I ended up at my best friend Marcus's apartment in Columbus. He opened the door at 11:30 at night, took one look at my face, and stepped aside without asking any questions. "Guest room is all yours," he said simply. "We can talk when you are ready." That first night I did not sleep at all. I lay on the unfamiliar bed staring at the ceiling, replaying the last 4 years in my mind. I thought about all the overtime shifts I had volunteered, for all the extra projects I had taken on to earn bonuses. I remembered the trips I had declined, the dates I had canceled, the simple pleasures I had denied myself, all because I wanted to help my family. I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. The payment history was right there, documented in black and white. 48 monthly payments of $1,800, a total of $86,400 over 4 years. $86,000 that could have been a down payment on my own house. $86,000 that could have funded years of travel, education, or investment. Gone all of it into a house where I was told I was not welcome. The next morning I made a decision. I called the bank and canceled the automatic payment. When the representative asked if I was sure, I said yes without hesitation. My mom had made herself clear. I was not part of that family anymore. Why should I keep paying for a house I had been kicked out of? It was not revenge. At least I did not think of it that way. It was simply logical. If they did not want me, they did not need my money either. I was just respecting my mother's wishes. The days that followed were strange. I went to work, ate my meals, went through the motions of normal life. But inside, I felt hollow. I kept checking my phone, half expecting someone to call or text. An apology maybe, or at least an explanation. But my notifications remained empty. The silence was deafening. Marcus noticed something was wrong, but gave me space. He was good like that. One evening, about a week after I left, he sat down next to me on the couch and handed me a beer. "You want to talk about it?" he asked. I shook my head. "Not yet." "Fair enough, but you know I am here, right?" "I know." 2 weeks passed, then 3. Still nothing from my family. Part of me was hurt, but another part felt validated. If they truly cared about me, would they not have reached out by now? The fact that they had not proven everything I suspected. To them, I was just a background character in their lives, easily dismissed and quickly forgotten. Then, exactly 21 days after I walked out that door, my phone buzzed with a text message from my dad. "What is going on with the mortgage?" "The bank called today. They said the payment is 2 weeks overdue. Have you not paid it?" I read that message at least a dozen times. So he knew. All along, my dad knew that I had been making those payments. He knew, and he never said a word. He watched my mom berate me, compare me to other people's children, call me ungrateful and lazy. He knew I was sacrificing everything for this family, and he sat there in silence. I was not sure what hurt more, my mom's ignorance or my dad's complicity. For a long time, I just stared at my phone, trying to figure out how to respond. I could explain everything. I could pour out my heart, tell him how much I had given, and how little I had received in return. But what would be the point? He already knew. He just did not care enough to defend me. So instead, I typed a simple reply. "Oh, I thought I was not welcome anymore. Mom told me to get out and never come back. So I figured you all did not need my help either." I hit send and then turned off my phone. When I powered it back on 3 hours later, the notifications nearly froze my screen. 17 missed calls from my mom, 9 from my dad, 5 from Chloe. There were dozens of text messages, each one more frantic than the last. From my mom, "Call me now. We need to talk immediately. This is an emergency." "Why are you not answering?" From my dad's son, "Please call me back. I know I should have said something sooner. We can fix this." From Chloe, "What is going on? Mom is losing her mind. Please just let us know you are okay." I am so confused right now. I scrolled through the messages with a strange sense of detachment. For 3 weeks, not a single person had bothered to check on me. But the moment their financial security was threatened, suddenly, I was important again. Suddenly, I mattered. I did not respond to any of them. Not out of spite, but because I genuinely did not know what to say. I needed time to process everything. And for the first time in 4 years, I was going to put my own needs first. A week after my phone exploded with messages, there was a knock on Marcus's door. I opened it to find my sister Chloe standing in the hallway, her eyes red and puffy from crying. "Chloe, how did you find me?" "Marcus called me," she admitted. "He was worried about you." I made a mental note to thank and also scold Marcus later. But seeing my sister's face, I could not be angry. I stepped aside and let her in. The moment the door closed behind her, Chloe threw her arms around me and started sobbing. "I am so sorry," she kept repeating. "I am so sorry. I had no idea. I did not know you were paying the mortgage. Why did you never tell us?" I hugged her back, feeling some of the tension in my shoulders begin to release. I did not want anyone to worry. Dad was already struggling with his injury, and Mom was stressed enough as it was. I thought I was helping by keeping it quiet. Chloe pulled back and wiped her eyes. "But that is not fair to you. You gave up so much, and we treated you terribly. Mom especially." We sat down on the couch, and Chloe told me everything that had happened since my dad's text. When my parents realized I had been covering the mortgage this whole time, the truth hit them like a freight train. My mom broke down completely. She locked herself in her bedroom and cried for 3 days straight. My dad could barely look at himself in the mirror, ashamed that he had known about my payments, but never acknowledged them, never stood up for me when my mom criticized me. Dad knew the whole time. I asked, though I already knew the answer. Chloe nodded. "He said he noticed the payments coming from a different account a few months after you started. He figured it out, but convinced himself you would say something if you wanted credit for it. He did not want to embarrass himself by admitting he could not provide for the family." I let out a bitter laugh. So he protected his pride while I got torn apart at every family dinner. "I know. It was wrong. He knows it was wrong." Chloe grabbed my hand. "Mom wants to apologize. She is terrified that she has lost you forever. She has not eaten properly in days. I have never seen her like this." I sat in silence for a long moment, processing everything. Part of me wanted to stay angry. I had every right to hold on to that resentment. My family had taken me for granted, dismissed my contributions, and kicked me out of the only home I had ever known. But another part of me, a quieter part, reminded me that holding on to anger was like drinking poison and expecting someone else to suffer. My mom had hurt me badly, but she was still my mom. My dad had failed me, but he was still my dad. Cutting them out of my life would not heal my wounds. It would just create new ones. I will come home, I finally said. Not because I have forgiven everything, but because I want to have a real conversation for once. A conversation where everyone is honest. The drive back to Ohio felt different than the drive away. The first time I was running from pain. This time, I was walking toward resolution. When I stepped through the front door, my mom was standing in the living room looking smaller and older than I had ever seen her. Her eyes were swollen, her hair was uncombed, and her hands trembled at her sides. She did not say anything at first. She just walked toward me slowly like she was afraid I might disappear. When she reached me, she wrapped her arms around me and held on like her life depended on it. "I am sorry," she whispered, her voice cracking. "I am so sorry. I did not know. I did not see what was right in front of me. I was so focused on what I thought you should be that I completely missed who you actually are." We stood there for a long time, just holding each other. My dad watched from the doorway, tears streaming down his weathered face. Chloe sat on the stairs, quietly crying into her hands. When we finally sat down to talk, it was the most honest conversation our family had ever had. I told them about the past 4 years, not to make them feel guilty, but so they could understand what I had been carrying alone. My mom listened without interrupting, occasionally wiping fresh tears from her cheeks. When I finished, she told me about her own fears. Growing up in poverty, she had developed an obsessive need for security and success. She pushed me so hard because she was terrified I would end up struggling the way she had. Her constant comparisons were not meant to hurt me. They were her misguided way of motivating me. Of course, she now realized how damaging that approach had been. My dad apologized for his silence. He admitted he had been a coward, too proud to acknowledge that his son was keeping the family afloat. He should have stood up for me. He should have told my mom the truth long ago. We did not resolve everything in that single conversation. Years of misunderstanding and hurt feelings could not be erased in one night. But it was a beginning, a foundation upon which we could rebuild our relationship. 6 months have passed since that day. I moved into my own apartment in Columbus, finally starting the independent life I had put on hold for so long. I still help my family when they need it, but now there are clear boundaries. I contribute what I can without sacrificing my own well-being. And most importantly, my contributions are acknowledged and appreciated. My mom has changed. Not completely, because people do not transform overnight, but enough for me to see she is genuinely trying. She has stopped comparing me to others. She calls me every week just to chat, asking about my life, my work, my happiness. She says thank you. Now 2 words I rarely heard from her before. The lesson I learned through all of this is one I will carry forever. Sometimes you have to walk away for people to realize your worth. Not as punishment, but as protection for yourself. You cannot force someone to see your value. All you can do is stop dimming your own light for people who refuse to acknowledge it. But here is the other side of that lesson. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting. It means choosing not to let the past control your future. My mom hurt me deeply, but holding on to that pain would only hurt me more. By letting go of my resentment, I freed myself to move forward. I freed myself to have a real relationship with my family for the first time. If you are watching this and feeling unseen, unappreciated, or taken for granted, I want you to know that your worth is not determined by whether others recognize it. You are valuable simply because you exist. Sometimes the people closest to us are the last ones to see what we bring to the table. That is not your failure. That is their blindness. And if you ever find yourself in a position where you have to walk away, do not be afraid. Walking away is not giving up. It is giving yourself the respect you deserve. If the people who hurt you truly love you, they will find their way back. And if they do not, then you have learned an important truth about where you stand with them. Either way, you win. I want to hear from you now. Have you ever been in a situation where your family did not appreciate your sacrifices? What did you do about it? Drop your story in the comments below. I read every single one, and I know there are others out there who would love to hear your experiences too. If this story touched you in any way, please hit that like button and share it with someone who might need to hear it. And if you have not subscribed to this channel yet, now is the perfect time. We share stories like this every week, stories about real people facing real challenges and finding their way through. Thank you so much for watching and for being part of this community. Whatever you are going through right now, I hope you remember that you are stronger than you think, and you deserve people in your life who see your light. Until next time, take care of yourselves.